Good day, everybody. Pedro and I will be with you shortly. And yes, I do have construction again. It's another great day, everybody. Market's moving. I'm grooving. Pedro's feedbacking in my ear. Loving every second of it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show on this great network with these great hosts. It is, what is today's date? January 15th, if you can believe it, the month is half over already. One day closer to Christmas, one day closer to my birthday, and one day closer to Pedro's birthday, too. We're not going to worry about the sun going supernova today, but we're going to have a good show for you today. Today's Whatever Wednesday. We got a couple things to talk about. Markets are moving. Pedro, I'm sure, has a lot to talk about the moving markets and what's driving it. And we're going to complain a little bit about Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler today, because we only have a few more days to do so, ladies and gentlemen. But maybe not. There's a twist. There's a twist to the Elizabeth Warren saga, which may not cause it to come to an end, unfortunately. Also, we want to talk about the core CPI that was out this morning. You're like, Tom, I don't watch this show to hear about core CPI and all that. We want to be educated and entertained. Well, this is the education part of it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk a little bit about core CPI that was released today and why it's important just to you guys as small traders to not get wrecked out there. And also, of course, tomorrow, Wednesday, is inflation data. And I'm only bringing that up because tomorrow's announcement about inflation will also play off against what I want to talk about against core CPI. I know Pedro's going there. What is Tom going to be talking about? Core CPI and stuff. But I got a twist to it. It's all about education. And ladies and gentlemen, but here's where I like to say this morning. Good morning, Pedro Garcia, my co-host. What's happening, brother? Ooh, gotta turn your mic. Hold on, I gotta turn your mic on. Wait. Let me try that again. Pedro, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing? I got some cool background. This is the super cluster. Can you see it? Behind me of not galaxies, super galaxies. So it's a super cluster of galaxies, and it is pretty epic. I actually really like it a lot.
Let's see. Well, hold on. We're going to give people a full opportunity to see it there, Pedro. There we go.
Here you guys go.
That's a cluster of galaxies, so cool. As someone who's dropped a lot of LSD would see it, I believe.
Yeah, but it's cool because it shows that the universe is clustered, or the galaxies are clustered together. And these are like, so what do they call this? A super galaxy cluster?
A super cluster or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Super cluster, something like that. And it's just dope because it's like, you know, like you can, like, we think just it's sporadically designed or it's sporadically just out there, but it looks designed, like the way it looks and how it's going through and the idea behind. And there's major like middle sections of these that just vast amount of space that just have nothing. And then you have like, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Thought you had. We have a slight delay here this morning.
I just think it's dope that we have these systems that we can go look at it, and it's kind of cool. So.
Well, and I was always amazed at things like that, Pedro, is when they show, like looking at someone's telescope in their backyard at the sky, and they show a couple of a planet far away and a few galaxies, and then they say, from the telescope in Hawaii, and it zooms in on a spot that the little telescope in the backyard was looking at, and there's a bunch of galaxies and stuff, and you're like, that's cool. And then they say from the Hubble, and they zoom in on a tiny little spot in that bigger picture, and there's a bazillion galaxies, and you're like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. How can there be so many? And then they use the new James Webb telescope.
Yeah.
And they zoom in on a tiny little spot of the Hubble thing. And they're like, and then there's like infinite amount of galaxies and stuff. And you're like, there's no way we're alone out here. I mean, and it's like, and these are from 13 billion years ago. I find that amazing. But what's better than 13 billion years ago? How about $3 XRP, ladies and gentlemen? We're moving that direction. How about $100,000 BTC? Moving that direction. I haven't checked it in 20 minutes, so we might be there already. But anyway, markets are moving, markets are pumping, that kind of stuff. Gonna have a good day, good show for you. And let me see if I can bring up, see who's with us here today. We only have Brad Garlinghouse in the house today.
We got Brad, dude. I love freaking Brad. He's awesome.
Well, we might not exactly have him, but we have his tweets. We have his tweets in the house today, and that's a topic of one of the things also. There's got to be some more people here. Maybe my social stream isn't working right here. We got a bunch of viewers here already, and my great comment machine is not working for some reason. Extreme Car Care in the house. Next Level Cash, send us higher. Ka-ching, ladies and gentlemen, ka-ching in the house. I'm going to have to try and refresh this social stream here. Alpha Wolf, all right, you guys, I'm here listening. I invited people, that's all I can say. I'm working, and then I got a meeting with PawChain in 20 minutes. I forgot, I need to invite the PawChain guys over to the show. One of you guys gave me their contact info, and so we'll have them on soon enough. Next Level Cash says, so bullish on AI Alpha Wolf and Paw. Wow, you're bullish on a person. Oh, yes, all right. Chuck Jansen in the house. What's up, DYOR Media? Thanks for joining us, Chuck. I have no idea. I just upgraded the great comment machine, and it's not working. Fortunately, I keep a backup in the house.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that nice trade for yours, man. Nice. It did get up to $3.
Nice.
303, man. Nice. And you got in on that. I'm stoked.
Very, very, very nice. I didn't get up in the futures market, which I should have done, but I have it in the perpetuals, so I've made some good cake on that. We'll go over that in a little bit when I do our sponsor message anyway.
Play it out
Why is this not working here? Why is this not working? Anyway, I'll figure that out when you talk about BTC. Pedro, what's going on in the great world of Bitcoin?
It's a great question. For whatever reason, there it works. I was like, I always hate, like there's times and moments where like I have all these charts, right? And I have all these lines on it. And every once in a while, like I'll screw it up. And I got to go through and redraw all my lines or whatever, right? And I don't want it because it can literally take me a week to do it. Like it's just because I got to go through, I have to analyze it. And I never just sit there and go, okay, boom, this is where it was. I'm like one of those guys that's too anal retentive. Like I had a friend of mine who literally was like, dude, I think you're borderline like, when somebody has a huh?
Is it crazy?
I probably am. I mean, but here's the thing. Like, how do I like get rid of that and still keep like I hate to use the word super intelligent, but like, I was thinking about that because we were talking, long story short, we were talking like, how do I sit there and analyze the market the way that I do, and it really happens. And I go, well, first thing that I do is I look at it sequentially, meaning A plus B equals C. Okay, so if the market is going up, potentially where is the turnaround? If it turns around, where is it going to come down to? It's very sequential. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Then what I do is I look at from the opposite end. So now from that opposite end, you would sit there and go, all right, like look at it like from reading from right. From left to right. I try to look at it from reading from right to left. And I try to basically see, okay, if I was to design this, I would have to start from right to left. Okay. Then once I kind of understand that, then I turn it inside out. Meaning I'll look at the market in a way where, okay, if there aren't enough buyers coming in, then how are they going to get those? And through sellers and vice versa. You turn it inside out in the market. Okay, as we're moving. Then from there, once I do that, I'm able to then flip it upside down. Meaning, so inside out, upside down, and then right. And then when you do that, as you're and I know this, you're like, what is why?
Are these technical terms? Turn the market inside out, turn it upside down?
Well, no. This is how my brain works. Because I hate getting, and maybe this is because of the trauma I went through as a child and, foster care and all that other BS, right? It's not BS, but you know what I'm saying. So maybe my brain doesn't like to get thrown off. And so I've designed a way that I can control things, or at least understand potentially what could happen to me or what could happen in the circumstance. And then once, and so that's why I do it. So that's why then I turn it inside out, looking at the market, how, if it doesn't work out, then potentially where is it that it's not going to work out? Okay. Most people don't even look at it from that perspective. Like they think their trade's going to win. Like, and that's not how it works. That's not how the market works. Then from there, so it's turned inside out, right? Then you can flip it around again, turn it around from that perspective, turn it around from the other perspective. So there's about 8 different perspectives that you can look at the market. And I try to look at my whole entire world that way, where it's like, okay, this is potentially what's going to happen. And you have to do it quick. Okay. So boom, 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 boom. So but it's all sequential, and then when the creativity, the genius comes in, is then you sit there and go, okay, where's the creative part in all of this? Because when you have that much data, you can then be creative. And that's where the genius comes in. Right. And you can now mishmash. So anyways, you guys are like this. No, no, no. It's look at sequential, then from right to left, meaning starting at the end result and building it backwards. Okay. Then from there, you go inside out. Okay. Then from you're just making fun of whatever, dude.
I am, Pedro. I am making fun of you.
Whatever.
It took you a while to pick up on it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your entertainment portion of the show. Inside out, inside out, round and round, upside down.
Right
boy.
To left. First start. Left to right. Anyways, so.
Pedro, we're already side siliconing this one or whatever. Did you see the link I sent you in Telegram to the song?
Napsters, yeah.
The song, The Noisy Eater.
My computer won't let me play it at the moment.
No, you don't need to play it. I'm just saying that you came on. Those of you, we have a little broadcast software here. When Pedro comes on, I'm usually getting ready, so I have him on the speakers. And I hear his voice throughout the place. And Pedro is eating and drinking, and even the dog is standing up going, what the hell is that noise? So there's a song by one of my favorite groups called the Avalanches. They have a song called The Noisy Eater. And that, my friend, is Pedro. Let's see, who's in the house here? Stop singing, my ears are bleeding. Thank you very much, Jerry Molinare.
Yeah.
Chuck Jansen. Pedro does the hokey pokey with charts and markets.
Molinare.
Let's see, who else is in the house here? I'm using the old comment system that I keep here. Chuck says, what's up, DYOR Media Network? Next level cash. Oh, so bullish on AI. Well, okay, I got up to where what else? Definitely get in with the paw chain, folks. Roland Rod, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. How much longer till altcoin season? Alpha Wolf, we all know that Bitcoin's got to be consolidating for a while. There he goes in the box. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro's neckbeard, ladies and gentlemen. But BTC's got to go into a long period of consolidation, at least for the altcoin season to kick. Extreme Car Care says CTO. All right, enough of the comments right now. Pedro, which way is Bitcoin going? Up, down, all around, ping-ponging, upside down? I tell you, I get in a good mood as soon as I start the show.
All
I was
right,
moping
let's
around
go
all morning,
into
tired and stuff.
Mike,
And then now I'm on the show and I'm like,
he's
woo!
being a total douche.
Computers, we are having some technical difficulty today. It's Pedro.
Yeah.
Welcome, viewers on a Rumble. Thank you, Rumblers. Really appreciate joining us. Nothing better than having a good crew coming to us from that wonderful channel. Really appreciate it. Fire Chicken says, "Never fear, I am here." Oh, wait a minute. Why is the Rumble not working? Oh, the Rumble is working. Never mind. I am just crazy.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Pedro, and I'm sure everyone can hear my jackhammering going on in the background here.
So on Sunday and Monday we had the sell-off. We came down. And I said, and as this whole entire period of us going up here, I said I was very hesitant here because we weren't climbing in volume. Oh, please, it's just being such a douche. Sorry, my PC is just being grand. Please stop being extra and just be cool with me. Let's see if we can get this thing up and running. Come on. Okay. So you can see back here, it's the market at the first of the year as we were moving up. We weren't putting a lot of demand, or we weren't putting a lot of buyers in, right? You can see that, and I talked about, I was like, I just don't trust this rally up here, right? And then we had the sell-off, and then the consolidation, and yep, and there goes my computer. What else do I have to close? I'm gonna close that, and let's see if that works as well. Okay.
I think I was on mute there. You might need to go on into your Windows system directory to the prefetch folder and just delete all that. Those are Windows updates that get Windows updates and other things that get cached there, and Windows very rarely cleans that out. Probably a gigabyte or two free there. Do you need to take a moment to reset some things?
Every time you talk, it breaks up on me.
Check 1 2 1 2. Everybody, let us know if you can hear me. Okay. See if it's I think it's Pedro's probably your computer. If it's running out of resources, then the audio will suffer too. But I can hear you clearly.
You can hear me good.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Well, I will then move forward. Okay. So you can see here, as we came down, I expected us to continue down, but we didn't. We bounced off the 89.50 period moving average. But just like I said at the beginning of the year, as we're moving up, I said, I don't trust this area because we're not increasing in volume where buyers are sitting. And then Mr. Saylor bought at the top of the market, I think right here. I think it was the 6th or the 5th is when he bought again and pushed the market up. But all that was just liquidity for the institution so that they could sell off on them, right? And then so sure enough, we had the sell-off, consolidate, sell-off. Now, I actually reached out to him today on Elon Musk's system and I said, hey, buddy, stop freaking buying the top off because you're creating supply, or you're allowing the institutions to sell off to you. So stop it. Buy on pullbacks just like everybody else. And so then it can keep continuing in the freaking direction that we want it to. I hope he sees that. I really doubt that because I think he's so stubborn about actually being right that he can't see the fact that he's the one who's actually causing the sell-offs. But as I digress, right? So now we're moving up. And again, we don't have enough volume, again, at these levels. So again, this is potentially putting in high, lower high, lower high, low, or not a low, but now a lower low. That wasn't. And this is a lower low now. So we've got a little, basically, like I said, if there is going to be ones that I am going to look at, it's the it's the wedges that I look at if I was going to look at some type of pattern, right? Wedges, I like wedges at times because again, it's more trend based. So I can trade that trend. So that's why I use, if I do use them, if I'm going to use a type of trading like formation, I'm going to use more of these guys right here. So, or the wedges. So now let's go ahead here real quick and look at what I'm expecting. We pushed up on Monday, we pushed up on Tuesday, we pushed up on Wednesday. I think they're going to come in and I think they're going to play a come on, you can do it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to close everything out here on, give me 1 second. We're going to just close this.
Yeah, if you're having trouble, just close everything else out. Close it, whatever streams you have open.
Yeah, I'm closing everything off because this is really bad. And we're going to close chart books.
While you're doing that, I'm bringing up my screen here. I've got the Michael Saylor tracker on here, showing where he's bought. Let me make sure my mic is... sorry, everyone. I've got this construction going on behind me again. I try to get my noise gate working, and it's apparently chopping up Pedro's audio. But anyway, Michael Saylor's... I can't get this from behind me. I'll just turn myself off here. But anyway, you can see where he's bought major amounts here. And for some reason, the chart is not drawing correctly on my screen. It's covering up the legend and all that type of stuff. But he's bought way down low, up high again, and continuously through the bear market here. If I can... why does it do that? If you can point out here, well, I guess it's on this side this time. This is where we are now, and unfortunately behind Pedro is his recent buys. And he bought the top of the market. He bought it at 107. And we've pulled back, and he borrowed money to buy at 107. But he's still $41 billion richer, as they say, or more wealthy or wealthier or whatever. Anyway, Pedro, are you ready to take it back here? Pedro, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Pedro? Earth to Pedro. All right, Pedro.
Yes, I can hear you now. I just heard Earth to Pedro. I can't hear you anymore.
Check 1 2 1 2 1 2, ladies and gentlemen. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
I can hear you now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what's going on with Pedro's audio. You know what? Let me check the studio software, see our connection.
No,
we got a good connection.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Pedro. Check 1 2. Okay, Pedro, I'm going to count from 1 to 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Did you hear all those numbers?
I hear you. Yep. All I heard from 5 up straight, and like I heard 1 3 5 and 5 6 7 8.
Range. All right. Well, we'll fix your computer afterwards. Keep on it. Keep at it with Bitcoin here. Wherever you left off, I don't really know.
Okay. So for whatever reason, I'm not showing like I'm using that much anymore. But for whatever reason, this thing is just wanting to be a tool. I don't know.
AI Wolf says, we're going to have a super pump after Trump's inauguration. I hope so. I plan to be very long during that period. But I am going to wait until just after the inauguration to make sure there's no sell the news type thing. By the rumors going on right now, and I expect to be a sell-off right after Trump does from all the day traders buying the rumors, and they all sell the news. And next level says metal yellow. My backup comment software does not do emojis. He says I'm loud and clear. Pedro must be having an issue. Pedro has feedback sometimes. Yeah, sometimes he does. So funny, I imagine Pedro actually writing in that list. Let's see. What else here? Okay, everybody, you guys have a great day. Off to make our token. I don't think that's word wrapping there, but let me see if I can fix that. Word wrap. There we go. That's better. Make our token a PawChain token. See you later. All right, Alpha Wolf, have a good day. Thanks for inviting people over and joining us. For those of you joining us on YouTube that were invited over by Alpha Wolf, thanks for joining us. We're a daily crypto talk show that usually doesn't have this many technical difficulties, although we're famous for it. Anyway, Pedro, how's the audio coming now? It's not good. All right, we're going to have to try and do something with Pedro here. Pedro. All right, Pedro's off camera, ladies and gentlemen. While he's going to do that, we're going to switch over to the topic of the day for the show. The topic of the day is Elizabeth Warren. She's still at it. She is still at it. And why is this a problem? Why is this a problem that, if you notice on the thumbnail here, I got Gary Gensler down in the corner or next to me saying, me too, his little bald head. Anyway, why would this be a problem? As we know, Elizabeth Warren is a Democrat from Massachusetts, who is a prominent figure in the anti-pretty much anything fun category. If it's fun, she's anti-fun. But seriously, she is being a consumer rights person her whole career. She's sticking up for the little guy, very progressive ideas, and most of the time she tries to hold the banking system to account, not to be scamming us. That's a good thing. She tries to fine them like crazy or pass legislation that allows for very big fines to happen when the banking industry steps out of line. Good thing, because we rely on the banking industry for just about everything in our lives. So we don't want them scamming us. We want them to be honest. These are all good things. However, when she took to crypto, as we all know, she started a war on crypto. President Biden, essentially handed her the talking points for crypto for his administration. And as you've seen from our guest from Caitlin Long on the show here, she's talked about how she has been a victim of Operation Choke Point 2.0, in which the government tried to debank and deplatform crypto and Bitcoin firms, especially her bank. And so it's been a continuing problem. And then Mr. Trump won re-election. And he also caused the United States Senate to flip to Republican. You think, I don't care about politics, Tom. I'm here to degen and make the fat bank and stack sats. But you'd be mistaken if this does not impact you. It impacts you because Ms. Warren is on what's called the House Banking and Urban Affairs Committee. And that committee oversees for the Senate the banking industry, sets policy, sets rules, has an extreme amount of influence on the banking sector. The American Banking Association actually polices the banking industry, and the Senate oversees it and tries to stick its political nose in it when it can. And she's been sticking her political nose in crypto for the past 8 years or so. In this past 6 years, she's had a mouthpiece in the Senate because her party's been in charge of the Senate. So she's on her key committee. She's able to set the agenda. She wasn't the chairman of it, but she is now that the committee has changed to Republican control. She's what's called the ranking member. The ranking member is the highest opposition party. So she's now the number 2 person as the highest Democrat in the Senate Banking Committee. So she is effectively silenced. The Republicans control the Senate. They set the agenda. They're not going to listen to what she has to say anymore. Just like, you remember, Maxine Waters set the tone in the House Financial Services Committee. There was no talk of crypto. Crypto's evil. It's awful. It's terrible. It's bad. And her advisors just fed her the full anti-crypto thing. Never even came up. Republicans took 2 years ago. Republicans took control of the House. And what happened? That's right. All of a sudden, Maxine Waters was deplatformed. And her voice didn't count anymore. And Patrick McHenry took up a pro-crypto stance. They talked about crypto. And amazingly, what happened is because Maxine Waters was hearing the real story about crypto now, not just her staffer's story, which was crap, all of a sudden Maxine Waters is like, hey, this stuff's not so bad. Turns out my nephew is a major investor in crypto and doing well, and it's not just all scams. She turned the corner. Okay, back to the Senate. So Elizabeth Warren's going to get at least 2 years of pro-crypto stuff. Now, what do we have to worry about with crypto? We have to worry about regulators doing dumb things. We've been talking, if you watch the Swamp Creatures podcast, they've been talking all about the incoming Trump appointees, Treasury, SEC, CFTC, all the new appointees coming in, and how they're going to be good and bad for the industry. Generally good, just not as great as you think. They're still going to be politicians. And they're all going to get approved by the Senate because the Senate is controlled by the Republicans. I know I've been going on for this for a while, but I'm getting to the point here. In 2 years, we have midterm elections. 1/3 of the Senate seats will be up. 1/3 of the Senate seats will be up for election. Sorry, Pedro's coming back. Pedro, I'm just going to mute you for a second here. 1/3 of the Senate seats. I can, Pedro, but you're muted intentionally. Give me a minute here to finish my talk. 1/3 of the Senate seats will be up for re-election again. And what's going to happen is that there will be a chance that the Senate could go back to being Democrat-controlled. If this happens, Miss Warren, who has 6 more years left in Congress, will be the chairman of the Senate Banking and Financial and Urban Affairs Committee, or whatever the heck it's called. And she will be able to set banking policy and crypto policy for the banking industry. If not by will, but by force, by causing the Senate to hold up other important legislation that the Republicans want. She can turn the fire back up on crypto. So we have 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. We have 2 years in which the Republicans have to keep the Senate. If they don't, 2 years from now, we're in deep doo-doo. Because she's going to be very pissed off. Who is she just... let me bring up the article I've got here for her real quick. Where is her article? Oh, that's Miss Bitcoin. Oh, come on. Here we go. And this article here. Let me make sure it's on the screen here. It is not on the screen. Let's turn this one. In this article here, Mrs. Warren was quizzing the new Secretary of Treasury appointee about regulations. And she actually wrote a 31-page letter, of which there's a small snippet here, but a 31-page letter of questions to the Treasury Department about, or not to the Treasury Department, to the appointee, saying these are the questions she's going to ask. Most of them are about anti-money laundering and crypto. 31 pages of that. That's her agenda. Here in it, once again, I'm going to refer to the Swamp Creatures. Swamp Creatures did a whole episode about TD Bank not doing strict enough money laundering rules, in which they allowed about $500 billion to go through their system. That was, as the government referred to it, as money laundering. of which not all of it actually was, but they did have the email saying, oh, you need to ignore that stuff. And so they got the huge fine. Actually, I think it was trillions. Pedro, you're unmuted now. I saw you sticking your finger up there. I think it was trillions of dollars, but they fined them $470 billion or something, whatever the number was. Crazy number for doing it. Billions and trillions I was using. Way more than little crypto. Little crypto is this much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm crushing it ahead. I'm crushing it ahead. If you know where that comes from, let me know. So Miss Warren could potentially come back in 2 years, very pissed off and old and cranky, because she's going to be 77 in 2 years. And she still has the 1940s ideas in her head. So we have to be on our toes, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be on our toes, because what's going to happen is the Trump administration is going to play politics. And they are not going to just do the news is full of things saying on day one, all these executive orders are coming out. Crypto is going to go boom, all this kind of stuff. Crypto is going to suffer from the same politics that it has before, but there will be easier things getting done. We'll end up with regulations, which is good. So there's no more what happens, who we don't know anything or anything like that. No more gray areas. But the regulations are not going to be like just go do whatever you want. I would not hesitate to think that that they'll try to push through not allowing any privacy coins, not allowing any anonymity. Push forth the travel rule for everything. If you don't know what the travel rule is, it means that whenever you send money to anyone, you have to send Social Security, and you had to get Social Security information or citizenship identifier or whatever they call it. Like, even if I sent money to Pedro, I'd have to do that. And the reason is because the Trump administration has a big agenda that doesn't include crypto. Big agenda that doesn't include crypto. And they want to get all that shit done. So they're going to need to horse trade on some things. And the small guys get screwed during that. However, I do want to point out, I'm going to close this out with a good thing. And that good thing is not the Bitcoin Sports Network. It is... here it is. The good thing is Brad Garlinghouse at Mar-a-Lago with Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump. This is a good thing. This is a good thing, means that Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, with the digital asset industry is getting well represented and the words are getting through. But as we know, Brad Garlinghouse is also the evil emperor. And also, I can't remember the emperor's name. Emperor Palpatine or something like that in Star Wars. Because he's out there pushing CBDCs and that kind of stuff. Welcome, Crypto Mike, to the house. Thanks for joining us. That was my diatribe about Miss Warren. And even Gary Gensler is... and even Gary Gensler is right until his last day is suing people. I had a whole nother article about that, but I'm going to punt on that for another day. He's working right till the end. And actually, I'll bring it up here. Where is that tweet? Oh, I think it's oh yeah, it's here. It's Gensler. This is the one I grabbed for the social machine, and I'll just put it on the screen. Let's see if I can. Gensler, very much on brand, completely dismissive of the 2024 election, and the American public fully commits to his failed regulation by enforcement agenda to the bitter, bitter, bitter end. Hashtag sad, or something like that. Anyway, what Garlinghouse is referring to is that behind the scenes, the SEC is still giving Ripple grief. And knowing that the president's changing and he's stepping down from his job, Garlinghouse is like, why are you doing this now? Everything's just going to get overturned. So he took to Twitter, or X, to complain about it. That, my friend, is that. Be on the toes. If you're at least politically active, got to watch out for the Senate race in 2 years. It's going to be really important to our industry because we could potentially have our worst nightmare essentially being in charge of it in the Senate. Just bad. Bad, 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 bad. Pedro, how you doing there, Pedro? Oh, you're on mute. You are muted.
Unmute my cell phone.
Unmute your cell phone. It is unmuted. It says you have it muted.
So because because I am having issues with my, actually, go ahead, talk what you were just saying.
I just finished up my talk about my rant about Elizabeth Warren.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, everything sound good?
It just sounds like you're talking in a big room with your phone microphone.
All right, kind of. Right now, that's what we're gonna have to deal with, at least for today.
That's all right.
Until we go, a couple other things. So, yeah, I think what's interesting is that as crypto, I mean, there's a huge portion of people and I think this was so interesting. There's a huge amount of people who like crypto in Massachusetts a lot, and as we start to progress, I think what's going to be interesting though is that there's old money in Massachusetts. I mean, it's one of the first. I mean, that's where really they really made people who were rich have to work when they came over at the start of the, at the start of the country here, right? And then finally, when those people worked hard enough and were able to substantiate themselves and put themselves, they established again their money, and they no longer had to really work that hard. The reason I bring this up is those families are the ones who are keeping her where she's at. They give her money. There are old banks. There's real money behind her that she has. But what I think is so interesting is as we start to move forward and the banks start to adopt Bitcoin, the whole entire system, I think they're using her until they actually get a big enough foothold on crypto, and either she's going to change or the system will change her, right? They'll change her out and put somebody else in. And I think it's really interesting because she really is more of a mouthpiece for the banks versus a stronghold or a mouthpiece to help people, even though she claims that she's helping the small person as if she's saving America. And she actually might even believe it. I don't think she really understands blockchain.
No, there's no way.
Like, I don't think she understands the utility of stablecoins and what it can bring to the market and free up cash for real innovation again, right? And so all she sees is really, okay, 3% compounded every transaction, 2% compound every transaction. I'm speaking about Swift. And that's what she's fighting for. And I just think it's interesting to sit there and watch her, how she's playing, how she's going about doing things. And I think history is going to look down if we win, meaning the crypto mindset, the crypto freedom, the crypto gospel. If it wins, we're going to be able to point out that she was paid for people, she was paid by people to say and preach certain things. Just like a lot of the stuff we saw during other wars and other circumstances in history. So we'll see what happens here. But it's just one of those things. I feel like she doesn't really know what she's talking about. And if somebody was to simply just call her out, I mean, who's the runner-up?
Deaton tried it. He was on a debate with her. He tried to call her out on it. And she looked like an idiot talking about crypto. But all the voters still voted 70% for her because Massachusetts elections have got to be rigged. There's no way that population of that state voted overwhelmingly for. It's mind-boggling. The whole state of Massachusetts can't be old retired people voting for her. There's got to be young people in there somewhere.
I don't think I think you nailed it in a sense that it might be somewhat rigged I think what they do is there's because there's so much money, like it is ridiculous. Honestly, in the primaries, I'm actually going to volunteer to actually be a part of that in Massachusetts because it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. Oh, she won, and he, I mean, verbally just trashed her, made her look like a complete idiot. And still, like, how was it that people voted for her? Like you said, I just don't understand that. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense.
I honestly, I didn't think that Deaton would have that he was going to win, but I thought it would be close. I thought it would be neck and neck, and then she would pull it off because they'd pull some voting trickery or something like that. But she smoked him, and he just must not have had as good record in Massachusetts as we thought. I mean, I get it. It does help having in geriatric as your senator that's been in the Senate for a zillion years, because they're on all the key committees. They know where the money is. They have influence with the chairman of the committees that release the money and all that. I get it. Illinois has been a benefit of that from Senator Dick Durbin. We get a lot of roads rebuilt because he's a senior guy. But most younger voters don't know that. Most younger voters, they're like, the old lady needs to go, out. I mean, they had to take Dianne Feinstein out in a coffin. I mean, from California. I mean, there's something going on there that bugs me. But what bugs me more is when people are uninformed. And when you are rebooting your system and all that, I use the example of Maxine Waters in the House Financial Services Committee. And when she was the chairman of that, there's no crypto except anti-crypto stuff. And there's no chance Maxine Waters was out there on the internet learning about crypto and going, nope, it's not a good idea. She's just taking reports from her staff, and her staff's feeding her this information. So she's like, this shit's bad. Well, then when Patrick McHenry came and took power, they had lots of pro-crypto stuff right away. Pro-crypto, crypto, at least education sessions. And when because the ranking member, the opposition's allowed to have people come in and testify too. So she would bring in people that just look like idiots. They would just spout the same talking points, and all the other people that were actually in the industry were like, no, all of that's false information. Or, it's 1%, just like credit card transaction fraud. And so she started learning, and you recall, we spoke about it on this show, saying, hey, did you see Maxine Waters kind of turn the corner a little? And then it was revealed all of a sudden, like one of her nephews or young cousins' kids or whatever is big into crypto somewhere and made a bunch of money, and saw her at Thanksgiving and said, no, grandma, it's not all scams and stuff. I invest in these companies which build Bitcoin mining equipment, and now I have a new car and my kids go to school, private school or something like that. And she's like, oh, really? So I was mentioning that because all of a sudden you get new information.
Maxine Waters is not as entrenched into the old guard as
no, she's just old.
Yeah, she's just old, but she's not entrenched, right?
No, but hold on, let me finish.
Pocahontas is totally entrenched.
Right, let me wrap that into what I was saying is that Elizabeth Warren, like Maxine Waters, has been around a long time, and their key policy advisors and key staffers, the younger people come and go quickly and go work for lots of different people and stuff like that. But her key people have been with her for a long time. And you can go on LinkedIn and see this, that been with Miss Warren for 25 years. So those people have the same ideas. Oh, crypto bad. We're all bad crypto. And so those people are feeding her information just like they were feeding Maxine Waters information. And those people should be watching this show, damn it. Let's watch this show. You Elizabeth Warren staffers, gotta learn, because we don't want 2 years from now to be a disaster.
Well, she might. I mean, it may be one day. I mean, Chancellor Palpatine. Yeah. I can hear him. Okay, sorry. I don't know why that just popped up. So, I think what's interesting, and the more and more I think about it, the more I think that her views. She may be, but okay. I'll put it like this: Mark Zuckerberg. Again, it's still on the same topic, but I'm going to pivot a little here because I think it's so important. We've heard by Trump that there's really some other agencies that run the government. We've heard that through, even Chris talks about the swamp creatures. Why they named it, right? Swamp creatures.
Right.
There's a shadow government that really runs stuff. And I hate to sit there and like play this conspiracy theory. I'm not a far, right, gun token. I believe in our system. I believe in the correct way of doing business. I believe our founding fathers set up a system that is really epic and awesome for the people, by the people, right? And yes, I understand that it was for educated people and not necessarily for minorities. Okay, I also understand that. But in the same sense, today in our world, I think that the lower class, middle class people really have a hard time. Even Joe Rogan was like, I can't believe we actually won. It actually kind of works. But on the back end, there must be, and I'm going to bring this up because the reason why I bring Joe Rogan up is Joe Rogan sat down with Zuckerberg, and Zuckerberg talks about very clear that they were the Biden administration calling up, screaming at them profanity, through profanity, saying, if you do not do this, we will shut you down. We will, full on thing. And it was funny when Joe Rogan asked Zuckerberg, who was calling you? There was a moment, and I watched this now maybe like 10 times. I keep going back because he was right about to give it, and he goes, I actually don't know. And he was like, he wanted to, but he couldn't for whatever reason. He couldn't, and so it's like we know, like when we look at Biden during the debate, there was such a difference between him during the debate and how he communicates. From that moment on, we saw a huge difference in Biden because the media network switched on him. The far left switched on him and wanted to get him out and get somebody else in. But my thing is, was it really just the staffers who were governing him? Who was really running the actual country? Because the man had a hard time really like talking. Like the man had a really hard time even like logically putting things in order. And I say this because this idea behind but we know every time Senator Warren starts to talk, she does not make sense on crypto. She hits her talking points and she hits it hard, but just like a little baby, she can throw a huge tantrum, but again, she's still wrong. So who is actually running this? Who's running the country? Who's running this system that's trying to set an agenda for us? And maybe I sound like a crazy guy with my tinfoil and I look like Alex, what's the guy's name? Alex Jones, yeah. But the reality is it doesn't make sense. Who's really feeding them? You say they're staffers. Who's feeding the staffers? We know that Zuckerberg. Like who? Who's running this place called America?
Because from my experience, the senior staffers, they go seek their own information, and they have their the people that they're beholden to for money. For re-election money that they talk to. So the question is, who's backing Elizabeth Warren? That's the question there. But you're right. Ultimately, who's running the show?
Who's running the show? And why is it that they're so against crypto? Because crypto for us, the common man, is beneficial. We don't have to pay a bunch of fees if they say that they need to charge us. We actually get almost access to create wealth, so that we can start new industries. If you want to start a business, you can create that money literally by doing a meme coin and get it sent off and create some type of, financial stability and then use it. Yes, it's the backwards way of doing traditional business, but we're seeing money creation, like with real utility, not government intervention. And I feel like this is how our founding fathers wanted things to be. So it's like, who's running this? And why aren't they allowing for real innovation, real movement in markets so that we can actually get things up and running again for Americans?
Well, hopefully we'll see a change on January 20th. Should be interesting.
Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm weird? I mean, am I
I do not.
Weird?
Nope, I do not. I think, to be honest, I have bigger problems than what you're talking about with this whole mess. In that I like, you've heard me talk about, or when my family gets together, we start having an extended cocktail hour. We end up talking about Supreme Court decisions and constitutional law and this kind of stuff. It's just not all the time, but whenever there's something in the news, it's fun to do. And so I tend to follow constitutional ideas. And one of those is the separation of powers here that we have in the U.S. That's very sacrosanct. President, executive branch does this stuff. He's the head administrator, runs things. Congress sets the legislative stuff, and the courts figure out the arguments between everybody. It's very separate. Now, you and I have spoken, and I was reading this in an article, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. You and I have spoken, even today, about the Biden administration essentially handing over a lot of policy and running of things to Elizabeth Warren. And the news has talked about that. It's not just us. The news talked about it, how she kind of sets the tone for that. I believe it's an impeachable offense. Now, it couldn't happen because the president is giving power to the Congress, so the Congress is not going to impeach him for that. But I believe it's an impeachable offense to do that, to get to for the executive branch to say, we give this power back to someone in Congress or in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, Senate. That violates the separation of powers agreement. And very few people talk about it because nobody wants to. Nobody ever really likes to talk about that anyway. But it's just not right. And if the House wanted to, they could impeach Biden for that. Bring up charges, the Senate would have to convict, all that kind of stuff. They could censure him, whatever. That's not the point. The point is I believe that to be unconstitutional for him to do that. And I believe it's unconstitutional for Miss Warren to act as if she's the boss of these types of things and carry out those policies. Kind of a tough area to talk about, a little bit more deeper than DYOR Live and trying to figure out if we're going to get rich or die trying. But that was the topic of the day, Pedro. I thought it was pretty good. I'm sure all of you D-gens, you've stuck in there with us. But
we actually got 9 of you guys still watching us, which is
I know,
impressive.
but I can tell the graph has not added anybody since we started talking about it. So the graph, all the YouTube algorithm wanted to be here is get rich or die trying type stuff. But anyway, it was a good topic. I wanted to talk about that because people think that starting in 2 weeks, starting in 5 days, everything is going to be great and peachy in our industry. And just as the swamp creatures have reminded us, Washington is still Washington. They're still swamp creatures, and we're a small industry, and so we're the ones that's going to get horse traded when they need to get something else through. And Elizabeth Warren is in the catbird seat to demand things in that horse trade, and so we'll see the results of that fairly soon in a legislation package coming out when all of a sudden they're like, well, crypto, no more privacy coins, and you have to wear your bank balances on your forehead. That'll be the result of that. Anyway, let's get back to the markets. Can you do that? Is your system up and running for the markets, or are we in talk mode?
Yeah, it's good now. So we should be able to. And right when you showed this, it decided to. Why is it that when you show my screen, it starts to mess up?
China.
The little man in my PC.
Tom the Hammer Drill, new nickname. Yes, they just came off lunch, so they came back on. It's not good. Not good at all. Really don't know why my social stream is not working here. It's very, very pisses me off.
All right, so let's check out here real quick. So I was talking about the market on Monday went sold off and came back up, bounced off at 89. The issue is this: is that we haven't seen a lot of volume come in after that. Yesterday and today, we put no demand weights, and we've gone straight up. And when you look at the smaller time frames, we're not really putting in a lot of demand wicks that are substantial. And so it's, again, looking much like the first of the year, where we came and hit an area. And you can see here, this is where it's kind of sitting as it's pushing up. Well, if you look right here, it's pretty much identical, if not much more, I hate to use the word, but treacherous, because we're going up here. There's not a lot of real volume coming in. And so it's like, I don't know if I can get behind this again, this push up. I hope it continues. I want to see it continue. I want Tom's bags to keep growing and the rest of your guys' bags going, but it's not, it doesn't look real. And that's why I'm more, I mean, you can look at this, right? Even just this day right here, right? Boom, sell off, pick up, sell, 3 of them, right? Boom, you have a sell off again. And then we have, this is the first of the year, right? And this is the second week. And now we started the third week here, boom, to go back up. And I'm sitting there and it looks almost identical, and I'm just like, wow. It's looking like they want to drop it, and they're just bringing in all the suckers. They don't have, they're trying to bait. They're really trying to bait Sailor to come in and buy. I would expect this is almost some type of news, some good news coming out that will bait Sailor to buy Bitcoin, and then after that, they'll sell it off again.
just to say, you think you're the man, but you're not the man.
That's honestly kind of what this is very alpha. They're very alpha. They don't play around, and they like to prove who's the man. Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the man? I mean, it's, Zuckerberg talked about we need more masculinity in corporate America. Yo, there's plenty of masculinity in the banking system. I mean, it's literally all about who's got the biggest bicep. I mean, it's real.
Exactly.
So,
Go ahead.
So we're still above the 4-hour 8. We're playing here as my computer. So we're still above the 4-hour 8. And I said, be paying attention to it. But if we start to sell off below this, we're coming back down to the lows here. And again, I'm not fully committed here with this rally. Just not, because there's not a lot of real conviction to the upside. But it's a nice little rally.
One sec, Chuck, you're right. It's a sailor trap. If they are manipulating him, imagine what they are doing to all of us. Exactly.
That's exactly.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Sorry, go ahead with that, Pedro. You're on a good thought process there.
No, so I think you're nailing that aspect of that perfect way of looking at it, Dr. J, because that's what they do, and I'm okay with it. Here's the thing: they need buyers, they need sellers. They can't play this game without the opposite end coming in and out. So it's not fair, but it's almost how the game has to work for them to actually get things moving and running. Whenever you have one side and another side going back and forth, there has to be a type of winner. It doesn't matter who it is. Not everybody gets a participation trophy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who literally used to go and play sports and get the participation trophy. And there was a point in time, I think he was 8 years old, and he was playing Little League, and they were still trying to do that. And he was like, I hate this because that guy sucks, and I'm better than him, and he still gets a trophy. And I was like, and I was recanting on that, because he played little a little T-ball and worked himself up, right? He wanted to be a baseball player. Went all the way through high school. And he said, this is not fair because he doesn't that. And there's this one guy they literally like gave him, like they tossed him the ball and he hit a home run. And actually, claimed that it was actually good. And he was just like that. From that moment on, he said, I'm going to purposely destroy this kid. And this is, he wasn't going to hurt him physically, but just purposely like throw, like strike him out every time he would throw it. And they wouldn't allow him to throw the ball correctly, make it hard. And so this idea of you have to have a winner. And the banks will always be the winner side. They're coming to, they're paying our Miss Chief Pocahontas, right? And they're trying to keep her going. And so it's like this idea behind it. So again, they're pushing the market up, trying to bait probably Sailor to come in and top the market off so that they can sell off to him somewhere up here, right? And then drop it when, I'm going to say, Sal buys market go down. Like it's just, and hopefully I'm wrong, but man, it's a beautiful setup. I mean, it really is. It's how they're playing it. Look at it, So hopefully I'm wrong. And Tom's bags keep continuing up. But the other part, let's jump to XRP. XRP beautifully played how we wanted to. So let's talk about this coming up here. We're starting to get close to that $3 mark, 3.8, 3.30 area. I like it. We created almost an all-time new high here. Come on, boom. So this is the all-time high right here at 1330 area. Like I talked about with BTC, when we hit that all-time high, I would expect, because everybody and their mama is going to come in and go, buy, 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 buy. And when people are buying, what happens? The market sells off.
Sorry, I was on mute. I had yelled selling into the mic.
Exactly. They sell. Who's they? The banksters. Because there's a bunch of liquidity for them. And then they do this. Boop, 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 boop. And by this point, you think it's going to go up. You on an emotional level are completely destroyed when it does this right here. You went long here, you went long right here, and now you're like, I don't know, I don't even know what to do. And then when it comes back into this point or this point, because this might go down right here, but won't create the second low here, this will be a higher low. And what do? They rally that market. So with that said, just be mindful. And I hope I'm wrong, and they let XRP run. So my boys back can run with it. But just be mindful what they're doing here. As they are pushing it up here, you can see that I don't see a lot of demand wicks. We are following the 8-period moving average as we're moving up. So on this 4-hour chart here, so be paying attention to them. We're showing weakness on the 2-hour. So it's just be mindful what's happening. We could see it get up to this level and then see it drop again. That's that 330, 308 area. As we're coming up into this level, expect it to at least come back and retest that 8 as often. You can see it's a pretty clear trend going up here. So, but again, there's not a lot of demand wicks, not a lot of buyer wicks down until we get down to here, and they're down in here, and also there are some down at these lower levels. So it could be a slip and slide down if they want to decide if there's a ton of buyer volume that spikes it up and then drops in. So be ready for that, guys, in case they do it. XRP. Oh, we never finished off actually No, we did, right? We didn't do the last little bit. We can do this here real quick. Dot, check out Dot here real quick. So Dot hit that level here, came back down. It's finding support at these lower levels here, down at the $6 mark in the zone that we talked about. I thought we're going to continue down, but it's actually starting to show a little strength above the 8-period moving average with a little increase in volume here. As you can see, we got to just get above the moving average on the volume. If we do, and we start to really climb and hold here, then I expect to see DOT continue. If it doesn't, probably see it come down to this and further into this demand area. But ultimately, I like DOT because DOT is an OG. They still are building. They're still doing a lot of things. Their mechanisms actually work, and a lot of people use it, so they have actually income coming in. So I like them as a protocol. These are still good levels. If this thing does hit an all-time high, we're talking $56, which is a pretty good little 10x off of a major token. Let's talk about Avalanche. Avalanche is showing some pretty good strength here on the month, as well as on the week and on the day here. So this is actually pretty good. We're seeing decent volume come in. It's yeah, they had a sell-off right here, but you saw that people are actually coming and got above the 8 with fairly good volume. We're seeing demand wigs placed as we're coming down to these lower levels. So I like AVAX here. Nice little area to buy back as it came down to these lower levels. Consider buying a little bit more if you're looking to get in. If not, just kind of play off here and see it push up as we come up into that 58 to 69 area. So nice little area there. Alrighty then, Litecoin. This one that's actually been really interesting because they have such a huge following like Bitcoin. I mean, you almost have Litecoin maxis, right? It's almost like there's correlation between Litecoin maxi and Bitcoin maxi. You know, it's like they're kind of, you know, I don't know, it's like the 10-year and the 30-year, right? It's real interesting. So and so in that same sense, you could see if Bitcoin does really start to pick up, you could capitalize on Litecoin and excel of the actual push-up. So I do like that. If you're going to get in, you could get a pretty good quick 30% pop here from Litecoin from 105 to 130, one area. And then potentially see it kind of come back down and then come back into this level. Let me go ahead. Go ahead, bud.
Litecoin, $7 billion market cap, $8 billion market cap, trading 700 million, so trading about 1/10 of its market cap daily in volume. You know, it's kind of my opinion that Litecoin should be up there around 50 billion, 75 billion. It's undervalued for not any technical reason that I can come up with. For me, it's undervalued from a fundamental point of view. It's that it should be growing faster than it is.
I agree. From a technical analysis, right? Like you have an all-time high, which is sitting literally at 420. 420! Sorry. I'm such a dork. Anyways. But you can see here that the pullback here, it's down from 91. You got at least a 4x. And like you said, I think it should hold more strength. They have a lot of stuff going on with the Lightning Network. There's a lot of buying. There's a lot of protocols on it. And I don't think it gets enough play on it, you know, and people really kind of leave it alone. And it's almost kind of getting faded on. So it's just one of those things I'm looking at going, yo, this could be a sleeper, man. And, you know, people could be catching it. I think at least
it should go. You know, Bitcoin and everyone else that's sunk in the bear market has gone back to its highs.
Yeah.
And Litecoin is at 25% of its highs. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think yeah.
It's very possible that, you know, a lot of serious Litecoin people took their money and ran to Bitcoin with it though too, and so I don't know. It's just not. It's not getting that je ne sais quoi that it used to get.
Je ne sais quoi. You know, it's funny. I had a friend of mine who bought a lot of Litecoin here. And this is when it first launched. And then, it shot up pretty good. I think the idea of it shooting up was pretty epic. The only issue, right, is that after that first bull run, and then we saw that, and then it came back down, and then the second bull run, it wasn't, it exploded here, but it wasn't like a huge, it kind of just stayed within the same level, right? Like, and so I think maybe these people who were expecting Litecoin to really go in the last bear market, or in the last bull market, they thought it was probably going to go much higher. So they were buying in at these levels here at like the 100, 200, 300. So they could just be trying to like just take profit every time it goes. I'm just looking at it from a disenchanted view, or disenchanted buyers at this. And so that's potentially maybe where we could actually be seeing what we could actually be seeing happening with Litecoin. I'm just trying to look at it from like a buyer seller standpoint, why it's not pushing. My boy David right here, dude, was getting in all the way up here.
Sorry, I was on mute again. Just the drill hammer, or whatever the F this thing is called, is going crazy. But the chart almost looks identical to Bitcoin. Identical to Bitcoin's up until the recent move. And it's just, well, I should say in the last big move up, it didn't get as high relative to its 2017 pump. As Bitcoin did. And I don't mean in real numbers, I just mean if you lay one chart over another. So the interest has been dropping it from Litecoin for a long time.
Well, what's interesting though is the floor though was held pretty strongly. So you have the floor here, and you also have the floor here, and here's the last bull or bear market, which was here. So we saw it hold pretty well. It came down to our area here, and then I expected it to see it. So this is why I just think like a $600, $700, a Litecoin is potentially, just simply because if we start to see everything really pop, got a good blockchain, they know what they're doing, they've got a huge community. Why wouldn't it? I mean, like look at November, right? Like pump October, November is pumping. December, they had a bit of a sell-off once it came into our zone here. But the reality is that it's still showing some strength. Now it's halfway through the month though. And so it's not, when I look at the volume's dying off, but it is setting up okay. I wouldn't say it's a full setup where we're sitting right now, but it's still holding at this flip zone here. So for me, it's finding support and it's looking for it to really get going. So as I'm looking at the trader, I sit there and I go, yeah, I would throw some cash here simply because it's finding support on that level there, and we could see it going. It's definitely playing off of the daily 100, which is the yellow line you saw bounce off of right there. So it's just one of those things that I like it for one, like you said, it's undervalued, and I think you could see a 7x, potentially 10x this level. I mean, $1,000 Litecoin. I don't think it's too far-fetched. If not, I mean, potentially if this thing really was to get take off, potentially 2,000. This thing besides, and I don't even know what the market cap would be, but like you said, how much is it at? 4 billion? What's the market cap? Tom, you there? I think you're on mute, but
drilling. Say it's $8 billion. $8 billion market cap in Litecoin.
So that would be 80, potentially $160 billion market cap, for this coin. I don't think that's a bad, I just don't think that's something that it wouldn't be able to hit. It's a top 10 coin. you know, and it's still got a lot of fight in it. So, you know, potentially. Yeah. Yep. Alrighty then. Well, that's about it, man. We're coming up to the show. I know, guys, we were having issues in the beginning, but you know, it's really one of those things that I'm looking at. Mana, how's Mana doing? I've been looking to play this here. Coming
Mana?
in.
You know what? I've played in Mana for a while. Made a little money on that using BidFi, our sponsor down below.
Playing the futures.
I did. I turned $100 into like $140 over a period of a week or so. So I was happy with that.
Not a bad 40%.
40% annualized up to 2 million %.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I believe it. Actually, I think 20 million % is kind of weak. I mean, I'm thinking more like I'm thinking not a 10,000x, but more of 100,000x on that one day.
I think so.
You're on your trading. I'm not talking about man. I'm talking about Tom's.
Yes, we're gonna. I will soon be 100. Have $100 million. You know what is funny though is you shouldn't joke about that because Crypto Lifer, I watch him periodically in spurts, and
I like it.
Yeah, I like listening. He entertains me a little bit, and his community is fun to mess around with too, or have fun with. But he talked about starting trading with nothing. He started trading with $3,000 or something like that, and he was trading gold. He said, I traded gold for 10 years. And then he learned about Bitcoin and crypto, and started growing his crypto story and his bags through one bull run and then to another. And he said, you know, I didn't think that at the beginning I didn't think I would use the terms millionaire or make $1 million. He said, but my goal was to make $1 million in it. And he said, and then I had $1 million in assets, and he said, all right, well the next goal is 10 million. And recently on his show, he's been talking about how he recently reached. He said, I'm not going to brag about my net worth and stuff, but you guys know I like reaching goals. I reached my $10 million in assets. I don't mean in his trading bag. I mean in assets of everything he owns. I reached $10 million. He said, so my next goal is going to be $100 million, and all we need is one bull run that's a whole bunch of stuff 10x's. He said, not instantly, but over 5 years, 4 years, whatever. And he said, I fully believe I can get to $100 million. He said, and then I'm not going to do this anymore, and my family will be set for life. And I was like, a man with a plan. A man with a plan gets it done. And so I won't write off the $100 million thing, but what I would like to aspire is to once again in my life have $1 million in assets. When you have a big manufacturing company and you close it, you don't end up with lots of assets anymore. So it's time for Tom to replace that. That's why I'm listening to Pedro and learning more about this stuff that we talk about every day, to meet the plan. And then from there you make a new plan or make a bit bigger plan. Whatever the story is, man with a plan wins.
Well, what's interesting is, you know, my goal here in DYOR is to really see us become like a real, you know, Bloomberg that talks about real things, and you know, and we can have a broad base of viewers like, you know, like Rogan, and really be able to cause, hey guys, look at this. This doesn't seem correct. You know, or look at this issue. This issue needs something to be looked at. Or, hey, you know what's the best way to actually cure crime? Go through and take care of your orphans. No, take care of your orphans. You know, and talk about the real numbers that cause crime. You know? And then all of a sudden, we got, you know, 100... that'd be crazy. It's crazy to think that Rogan has almost like 1 billion people that listen to him, which is crazy. But if we could have 10 million people listening to us, even 1 million people listening to us, bro, that would be like.
We got to get a lot more. We got to say a lot of stupid shit first, though. Rogan got a lot of that stuff by many many of his podcasts were absolute conspiracy theory junk for ages. But he built his audience.
Well,
built the audience.
You know what got me to actually listen to him? He would get people were going after him saying the N-word. And then I was following David Goggins. I had just started getting into David Goggins and looking at his stuff, and then David Goggins came out and talked about how, you know, Joe Rogan's a real dude. Like if there's one guy who could use the N-word, it would be Joe Rogan, because the fact is that the man is a real guy and kind of a badass. And then so I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna go check out Rogan, because of the whole entire scandal that they tried to cancel him. And I started listening, going, dang, dude, this dude actually is legit. He has real conversations with people. A lot of people like him. He's not, and here's the thing, he's not a tool. Like the way the media makes him look at me, like he's just a bully and a tool. And the truth is, he just wants to have a real conversation with people.
It works.
And I sat there, and I do. And his whole entire thing with Zuckerberg, I was just like, I was transfixed, bro. I think I've maybe watched it twice now altogether, because I keep going back to certain points going, Zuckerberg is one of the most powerful people in the world. He holds literally 1/3 of the population on this earth use his platform. 2 billion people. It is nuts. But he's a powerful man. And the fact is that, like, he's like Elon Musk. If anything, I think he's more socially adept than Elon, I think. He's not so quick to just be like, go fuck yourself type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that, like, and I mean that in respect, because I respect Musk. I also respect Mark Zuckerberg. But to understand how much he really holds, how much power he really holds, yeah, you need to pay attention to him. Like, it's not, you're an idiot if you don't. If you're slipping on Mark Zuckerberg, he's a 30-year-old man. Or what is he, 30?
He's probably 40 now.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's like in his 40s. But he's coming into his manhood going like, you know what? Like, forget this, dude. Like, throw the hair back. I'm about ready to throw. And the fact is that he brought on Dana White. He goes, dude, I love Dana White. He goes, I brought Dana White on literally because the man took something that was failing and turned it upside down, and now is a juggernaut. I mean, next to Elon
Totally
Musk.
did. He totally fixed up wrestling.
He's wrestling.
He turned it into a fighting sport, MMA. I mean, he turned it into something amazing.
I remember when it first came out.
Not as fake as wrestling, but you know what I mean.
I don't think it's fake at all. Like he, you know, there may be stuff that's actually happened, but I've seen dudes' faces get crushed.
Oh no, the fighting is real. Don't get me wrong, but the selection of who gets to be the winners, you know, who gets to fight in it, and you know, there's a larger script about managing who gets to be where in it. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
It's not just like, oh, look, the kid from the Bronx is suddenly kicking everyone's ass, and now he can win. You know, it's a whole entertainment machine. So I'm not saying fights are fixed. I'm just saying there's a script involved in getting from the lowest point to the top point.
Yeah, I would agree. It's much like boxing in that sense, where like not always the best person is in the ring. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like there is, and is that a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know, man. I mean, he's got to run a business, and he's got to have entertainers. You know what I'm saying? You got to have entertainers. And I mean, one thing about that sport, I mean, when you think about, like, most people didn't even start watching until what's his name? McGregor really started to get involved. You know what I'm saying?
And Rogan was announcing from the sidelines.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But even then, he announced from the sidelines forever. Dude, from the very beginning. He was in UFC before Dana White even came.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, dude. I remember sitting there. I remember when I was a kid, there was this fight of this huge huge black man. This guy was like maybe 6'7", 6'8", okay? And we're talking, he was probably maybe 500 pounds, 400 plus pounds. He was a martial artist, right? Had a whole entire school. And it showed this like really short white man who was kind of skinny. And it was these dudes. I'm thinking, oh, this poor dude. Because it was luck of the draw. That's the way they played. You would have UFC, I think it got up to like 200 something, right? Before Dana White came in. And I don't forget exactly what it was. But literally, you would have just full-on bloody brawl situations. And this white dude came in, jumped up, and just did this hammer. I remember, I forget exactly, but he jumped up and came down hard on this dude's face. And then the dude stumbled. And this guy was maybe 5'6", 5'7", and he just started wailing on the knees, got the big man to go down, and then choked him out, dude. And then all of a sudden he won. And it was like everybody thought the guy was gonna lose. I mean, and the blood, bro, the blood was bloody, dude. The blood. Remember Ken Shamrock would come in, bro, and these dudes were just, I mean, ooh. And Joe Rogan was announcing it all the way back then. I mean, he's been in the sport, bro, forever and a day. Wouldn't be surprised. Wait, what is Jesus the Lord and Savior saying?
He's just a whole bunch of stuff. I've been scrolling his comments through the screen.
I love it. I'm sure they picked the.
Hey, we're at the end of the show, and I finally got the comment machine working.
Hey, man, we worked through it. Hey, like we said, we worked through this whole entire thing with my stuff and trying to figure out how to do it. You know, but I love that. I love how we just kind of always overcome and make it happen and then connect with our audience. Tom is winning.
Chuck says, Tom is winning. Today is a winning day. I beat the technology at its own game.
Yes.
And the hammer drill seems to have finally stopped just as we start to come into the end of the show.
There we go. It's always the way it is. But the part that I love about it the most is just that I like Joe Rogan. And maybe one day we can actually have a network where like real stuff is being talked about. We can shed light on and have people really looking like almost like Elon Musk, right? Where it's like you can actually have a real network that you don't have to pay for, that you can watch. We can have sponsors that come in and want to be a part of this, you know, and
let me tell you what sponsors do like is they like shows with a purpose, and they like shows with a purpose that grab eyeballs, and that's what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to divide up. This show hits too many topics. We ramble on about politics and deep topics when this show really should just be degen stuff, you know, crypto charts, blah blah blah, that type of stuff. What's going on in the crypto market, and then a whole separate show is, you know, just like Bloomberg and CNBC does. They have their market hour. What's going on with the market? Market. And then they start talking policy and stuff like that, and they have guests on, talking heads, wonk, 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 that type of stuff. And then the next show comes on, you know, they have anchors rotate through different jobs through it and stuff like that. That's what advertisers want to see, because then they can pick time periods. They can say, I want that 15 minutes. I want to own those 20 minutes of the eyeballs and stuff like that. But that's what requires money. So until we get the money, people, you got to keep watching. And you rumblers, you need to rant over there. And you YouTubers need to super chat to the tune of like a couple of grand. If you can just fork over a couple of grand each, you know, it's okay. We don't mind. No, it's
only a couple of grand, but I mean, here's the thing: we got 6 people watching us, and those 6 people raw. And I appreciate you 6 people that are watching over there at. We just jumped to 8. You 8 people over there at Rumble. You guys rock. I really like you guys. And listen, and I don't care what those people say about you. I think you're awesome.
Especially those people over at YouTube. Those YouTubers, they're out there against Rumblers. And you Rumblers, you're against YouTubes. You guys better fight it out.
If you want to rant, please rant.
Here we go. We got Jesus back in the proper comment section here.
Nice.
Lots of laughs. Pedro is even commenting, saying, "You guys rock. You need to get an avatar on."
I do. I actually do.
On Rumble, because you need to change the one on YouTube also, because your one on YouTube, you look about 40 years older than you are.
Love it. But the thing is I do that purposely. I actually do that purposely because a lot of the like facial recognition. So I have a friend of mine.
Dude, 30 frames a second of your face. 30 frames a second is being ingested of every facial motion you can make here. To think that a facial recognition is not going to get you, you could just show your eyeball through a burqa, and it would be like, oh, that's Pedro.
Oh, yeah. I disagree. But I actually have a friend of mine who owns a business, literally, where he sells to corporate America as well as the government. Like, that's literally what he does. Like, and they find perps, they find like weird, inappropriate things. Like, they find these people, and it's all through social media. So I said, dude, do me a favor and run me real quick and see if you can actually find me through your algorithm. He goes, all right. Dude, the only thing that popped up was my ex account. That's it. Because the one that I have there is set up a certain way, purposely.
Or it's that you're not a pervert and stranger, in which this software was biased to find. They found they
What do you think about that? You're all right.
Perhaps, Pedro, perhaps the software had it found you all over the place, and in certain areas he'd be like, we're no longer friends. Wait, that's a good point. Have you heard from him in a while? If you haven't heard from him in a while, le party is over.
2 days ago. Talked to him on Monday, so we're good. And he ran this, I think it was like last week. We actually just ran this too. He did a recent update on stuff, and I was like, just run me, see if you can really find me. And he cut it, and I just started cracking up. And, you know, I actually like that because you're right. You can't find me on it. So maybe it's literally because I'm not in that world and weirdo type, and you know. But you know, some of the stuff that I've taught, you know, what's weird is
here we go, right here. Here's the avatar.
I love it, dude. I love this picture, bro. I love it so much, dude, because it's just like, as we go like this, and the sun. It was during fall. I took the picture coming into winter, and I was like, sun was out. And I was like, this would be a good picture. So I took the picture, and then I posted it, going like, this is epic. Because you're right, it totally ages me by like maybe 15 years. Like, I got all the lines and stuff. And you know what's even weird? Here's another weird thing, right? So, like, I don't really have a lot of, you know, we talked about yesterday, me and you, like, we just don't really look our age, right? Like, right. Tom's looks like in his maybe mid 40s. You know, I wouldn't say early 40s, but mid 40s, right? You definitely do. But the man's, you know, closer to 60, right? And he's good. And the man looks good. You know, he's got a vibrant life, and he moves. You know, I look more.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host Pedro Garcia is off getting his hearing aids checked right now because he is 80 years old. Good news is the Botox is working. Pedro, move your head just to the side of that.
All right.
Hold on. Let's bring that up. Other way, that way. All right. Is that the same guy? I mean, the guy in the picture looks way more gray. Way more gray.
That's awesome, dude. You know, and that's the thing, because the sun was hitting it perfect, bro. It was making I looked like that silver fox, man. Silver fox. Oh man, got me
Jesus
going.
says, "Open your eyes, little puppet."
Oh snap! Don't look at me, puppet. Don't look at me. Oh, that's
Fire
funny.
Chicken says, so comment from a while ago, we do rock.
You guys are
the
amazing.
Rumblers. Talking about the Rumblers over there.
Down to you six Rumblers down over there that are watching us. You guys rock. You guys rock. Okay, let's see if they'll jump to 8. Come on. Listen to the da-da-da-da.
Let's see how we've done on. Well, we really killed it today on Twitter. We just smoked
15?
8.
Oh, killing us.
Although I didn't put out any tweets about it. I just sent the broadcast out, and it's in the tweet associated with it.
Well, one day when we're sitting at 2-3 million, and that thing is popping like it's hot, we're like, dude, remember when we had 8 people watching us? Oh man, that's good. You think it'll be good if I'm more polished? You think I should become more polished in my delivery?
You want me to honestly answer that, or just bullshit?
Well, I guess so. Then I think it's a yes.
I think you answered your own question earlier, Pedro, when you said what we're trying to create here is a CNBC or Bloomberg type thing. I think that answers the question for you.
Fair.
But we're not there yet. Right now we've got a certain audience, and so we're playing to that audience. And as that audience expands, it changes. Then obviously we will too. But
yeah, actually, good point. Very good point. You know, one of the things I think is important also is as we do grow, as it grows, we will have to grow. But I mean, when you look at Joe Rogan and a lot of his stuff, or Crowder, you know, and by the way, did you see Crowder get smashed? Like he was, you know, it doesn't even matter. But
I haven't watched Crowder in like 2 weeks or so because I've been watching Crypto Lifer. They're on at the same time.
Well, short of it is this: that those guys grew, but they never lost the genuineness that they should have, right? That brings people in. And I think that's one of the most important things is honesty and being genuine and authentic. You know, and obviously there's a way to always become better at delivery, but as long as you hold true to the authentic, genuine person that you are, I think that's what really draws people into you versus being polished.
Well, that's true because the polished guy that's not genuine is generally an asshole. Or a boring anchor. Like, I'm not going to mention who because there's a couple in Canada here that are so ridiculously boring, but they're very polished. And then I meet them in person, and I'm like, oh, he's not boring. He's a nice, fun guy. You know, it's normal. Hey, let's drink some beers. All right, woo. And then on the air, you're like, holy shit.
Totally different person.
Well, I sent you my friend who's on television over in Europe.
Yeah.
And her personality is the same in person. And it works. It works very well. She's polished and talkative, all kinds of stuff. But I agree with that. You got to be genuine. And has. Oh, not on the air. Not on the air.
No, I'll put it like this. My friend that you don't necessarily like, her, but I was like, holy crap, they could the facial features, the mannerisms. I was like, that's really interesting. So it actually was pretty cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we return tomorrow as Bloomberg and CNBC, hopefully our viewership will grow that much overnight. But anyway, that's it for the show today. The good show tomorrow is Thursday. We'll be back at it with a Thirsty Thursday, talking stuff, more stuff, and more stuff after that. But the crypto markets are moving. Pay attention. I'll be tweeting you lots of hints today on how to make tons of money. No, I won't be doing that. But anyway, pay attention to our social medias. As Pedro and I say, in the coming month, we're going to be trying to change up the show a little bit, change up some things to take advantage of teaching you more good stuff about how to make fat bags or die trying here in crypto. But until then, on behalf of my co-host here, Pedro Garcia, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. I am so glad to have hosted another edition of this award-winning show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm dragging this out as I make sure I set up my outro.
Wow, but anyway, Tom's dragging it out, and he's getting ready to do it. You guys have a blessed day. Be safe. Look both ways across the street and don't look directly into the sun.
Don't look directly in the sun. Pedro said it. We'll see you tomorrow, so be there.